Tadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarvavedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste Om Ishwara. We are doing that verse 32. I am at the beginning, the middle, the end, and Swami said that it has appeared before in the 20th verse, the verse 20 of the same chapter. It appears to be a repetition, but as it seems, some of the, how you say, some of the people who comments on this, they suggest that one limitation, when Jesus, I mean the beginning, the middle, and the end, it refers to limitlessness in a spatial manner, and the other time-wise. Okay, so that's what some commentators say. And beginning, middle, and end of time, beginning, middle, and end of space, created manifestation within space and within time. And then it also mentions about self-knowledge. This is the nicest topic in this verse. I'm self-knowledge. Among all branches of knowledge, self-knowledge cannot be compared with any other knowledge, because as the very definition of Vedanta says, it's the knowledge that puts an end for the need of more and more knowledge as a means to satisfy yourself. So it's the knowledge in regards to reality. The reality is that all is free, limitless, and infinite, and ever satisfied, ever secure. So when we tap into reality to get this knowledge, and then it's easy to understand what happens to the Atma of the Jiva, it enjoys those features which are inherent to one's real nature, true nature. So, and then one feels a transformation in that sense, a shift of identification from the limited body-mind sense complex to the limitless consciousness, the only reality. So there is no knowledge such as self-knowledge. It's the only transformative knowledge. And then he goes into discussions. There are all kinds of discussions. And the most constructive discussion is the discussion which is a transfer of knowledge between the scripture and the disciple, the guru in between, unfolding the scripture, explain the scripture. So the guru and the disciple is the highest possible constructive conversation. Is present as a discussion here, but in the sense, this knowledge, it has to be heard. So it has to be said, explained, and the disciple has to have an attitude to be open to receive it. And of course, questions and commentaries can be presented from the side of the disciple as well. But the attitude, the basic attitude is of, it's discussion is not a good word. It's a conversation which the teacher gives, and the disciple receives with that kind of attitude, Otherwise, every kind of conversation, the ego gets involved, and then Nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants to talk because it becomes more like a race. I want to prove my point and so on. Huh? So we have seen all kinds of vibhutis, or glories of the Lord, and they are all symbols. And now among the symbols, he says self-inquiry, self-knowledge is a wonderful symbol. In fact, is the symbol we like to deal with. Okay, so I sometimes I like to put in those terms. So what is the most important or the most glorious symbol of Ishvara? When we do Pasana upon symbols of Ishvara. When we come to Vedanta, we do Pasana, but our Pasana goes into Nirguna Ishvara, Nirguna Brahman. Since the Nirguna Brahman has no property or attribute or quality, so we're gonna have to do this Upasana by bringing your mind, contemplate a very focused mind where on the final teachings of the Vedas, the Veda Anta, or the declarations of identity, limitless nature of the Jiva Atma, of the Atma of the Jiva. So we're going to listen to that with an open mind. The mind was refined, mind was expanded, and it's just soaking, listening to those declarations. So that has to be carried on as a homework in the sense that we do what we call the Vedantic meditation, which is Nididhyasana. So what kind of symbol is that? Nididhyasana is a symbol. We use a symbol. What kind of symbol? The nature of Nirguna Brahman as my own nature. But it's a very, very abstract symbol because there is no quality, property, or attribute I can hold on, like we do with the other symbols of Saguna Ishvara. So now I'm focusing on Nirguna Ishvara, Nirguna Brahman. There is nothing I can hook or hold myself to. It's the most subtle upasana, and I refer this as nididhyasana. What kind of upasana symbol? What I'm using to do this meditation? You are using the most primordial, the most important symbol or glory of the Lord, which is the knowledge revealed in the scriptures. The knowledge revealed in the scriptures is the highest symbol of Ishvara. You understand? Because it's knowledge, it's pure knowledge, it's a knowledge that comes from the Lord, the supreme intelligence. It is present to us by words, which construct some notions, concepts that we need to analyze, we need to consider, examine, and so on. Therefore, is the highest vibhuti, is the highest symbol of Ishvara. You understand? It was said before in the previous class that the highest symbol is the self, is Brahman, is consciousness, and the consciousness is shining in the human mind as Aham. Yeah? So that is the ultimate symbol, okay? But not everybody can benefit from holding on to that symbol, such as was a suggestion of Nisargadatta Maharaj, hold on to the sense of I am, I exist, you know? So not everybody can benefit on that because you start going into a trance, into a very nice ananda feeling of peace, you know, holding on to aham without adding any attributes to this aham. But as we know, that still is not the ultimate reality. That is a reflection of this reality. The reality we can only access by knowledge. And then the knowledge is the knowledge of the Upanishads, okay, which is present in the Gita again and again, all over the place. So we're gonna do this upasana or this nididhyasana, holding on to something which is the highest vibhuti, since we cannot really complete benefit from the human consciousness, for it by itself without putting I am tall, I'm short, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm younger. So if you just hold on to I am, as Nisargadatta would say, you would go into something which is very peaceful. But that does not free anybody. What frees is knowledge. Therefore, we have to go and develop a sattvic mind, but then contemplate, create this atmosphere of upasana, holding the mind into the teachings that reveal the true nature of reality as the consciousness of the meditator, the consciousness of the Nididhyasaka, the consciousness of the knower, the observer. So we're going to hold that in the most wonderful, primordial, important glory of the Lord, which is the scripture that was, launched to us for the sake of knowledge that frees the individual from the most fundamental and painful problem of humanity, which is a sense of insecurity, limitation, finitude, and all the other complexities of emotions, disturbing emotions and feelings that drives society into wars again and again and again. So self-knowledge is the ultimate vibhuti, okay? So we have here a vibhuti, this I am the entire universe, and if you want to contemplate on the origination of the universe, you just hold on to the beginning, the middle as well as you are living now, and the end. So I am everything. These are very, very subtle conceptual objects that one can meditate upon, can do upasana upon, okay? But when we go to knowledge, self-knowledge is the highest, but self-knowledge needs to begin by bringing the mind, holding the mind upon those teachings that reveal the true nature of the mind as limitless consciousness, okay? So, and then he says, in connection with this self-knowledge, which requires scripture, guru, and sat, I am the constructive discussion among mundane discussions, among egoic discussions, and so on. Okay, so far so good. You can understand, here there are some Sanskrit passage that says, Saganam, among the create objects or the creation, I am Adi Antaha. You can understand Adi means beginning. Okay, no, this we have seen already. Okay, sorry. I was just going back to the verse. So the knowledge is the big thing. The rarest, he says, Swami has presented several reasons why this knowledge is superior to all other field of knowledge. We have seen it yesterday. And then he also says that I'm giving you one more reason for the superiority of this knowledge. He says it's superior because it's the rarest kind of knowledge. Most people are not interested in this knowledge. They do not come to this knowledge. Vyasacharya said in the second chapter of the Gita that many people will come to the scriptures, to the guru, to this knowledge, even among those rare individuals, most of them do not understand. Therefore, the number of people who know this knowledge, is very, very, very limited. And therefore, it is the rarest of knowledge. Krishna says, I am this symbol, this self-knowledge is another wonderful symbol of myself. Okay, so as far as our nididhyasana, so it's better, that's my opinion, to hold on to not self-knowledge, spiritual knowledge. It's the same thing. So self-knowledge, it means here, if you want to really hold on to self-knowledge, is a wonderful symbol for nididhyasana, is the scriptural knowledge, okay? Scriptural knowledge. So people often they believe self-knowledge is available without scriptural knowledge, but it's not really that way. Some people get this spiritual self-knowledge without contact with the scriptures, but somehow it's very rare. It may mean that in the past, in previous life, the person has been in contact with the scriptures. And so spiritual knowledge scriptural knowledge is the highest symbol of the Lord. And among all knowledge, I am the scriptural knowledge. Okay? So, and then Swami goes explaining the different kind of discussions. We go into the field of discussion. So when two people meet together, they want to have a conversation. And unless the person is very, very wise and purified, the conversations are going to come from the ego, both sides, two egos, having a conversation. And we want somehow to assert our viewpoints against the viewpoints of the other. I remember when I was very young, I used to live in a community of my first guru. And there was a time that there was a person there in a position of, structural power in the community. She came from Australia. And she had a very nice way to say things, because she used to come and then we would go talk to her, say this and this and this and this. And then she would say, yes, that can be said. That can be said. Okay. And then somebody else would come and say something almost opposite. You say, yeah, that can be said. That can be said. I have found that I never forgot that. I said, wow, this sounds so wise. Anything can be said. So usually we don't like to listen to the other without objecting and presenting another argument, as the right one, my argument. And here Swami goes about talking about all these several types of discussions. They talk about Vadaha. Vadaha is the truth, the ultimate truth, huh? They talk about Jalpa. I don't know what Jalpa is. I talk about Vitanta, and so on. Did you do some work on these Sanskrit words?
Yeah. So let me see. Jalpa would be gossip or disputation or something like that. Vitanda, destructive criticism.
Okay.
Jati, it really is birth or caste, but I would imagine it's dividing things into categories or something like that.
Okay, yeah. Jati.
Chalam would be deception.
Chala, deception. Nice. Very nice. Thank you.
And Samavada down is agreement.
Yeah. And Vada or Samvada between Guru and Shishya are meant for one purpose only, is arriving at the truth. Whereas in all other discussion, the aim is to winning the argument. That's why most of the discussions, people have a hard time to listen. They want to interrupt the other. I say with Sylvia that when we start having a conversation, then the moment that I start talking, after 30 seconds, she steals the microphone from me. I say, you took the mic again. Yeah, because usually we don't like to listen, we like to talk, especially if you were born in Italy, So discussions, people do not listen, they are preparing to counterattack. I used to say sometime in a playful way, jokeful way, the only circumstance that Sylvia listened to me is in satsang, in my class. So we are planning for our counterattack. That person's speech, nobody's listening. I'm just elaborating already my counter argument. That's true with regard to when you are shouting, you don't, we tend to go raising the volume of our voice, and then the other raise as well, and then, but when you sing, you are almost like shouting because nobody wants to hear. This is so for 99% of the discussions. Yes, Lee.
I think this is a beautiful unfoldment of what a prakriya, a methodology of teaching, is in the hands of a competent teacher. Like you said, yes, this is true. Or what was that phrase the woman used? This can be said, or something like that. It's like a real teacher. Their job is to get down to where the student is, not to show off their sophisticated knowledge or their erudition on the topic, but to just get down there. And then the student's job is to relax and be open to what that teaching is. It's just a lovely description of the methodology of this Vedanta.
Well, my experience doing this for the past close to 10 years is that in general, we present Vedanta in a group, and our group is almost no group, the 3 of us, the 4 of us. But when there is a group of 5, 10, 20, 30, there are people on different levels, And what I do is usually I see when I have newcomers, it's difficult for them in the beginning. And I just tell them, just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it, and it's going to begin make sense very, very soon. Try not to compare with what you already have known, just listen, listen, listen. And then later on, you can begin presenting some doubts or questions. So it's difficult to adjust the delivery of the teachings to the level of the student in that sense. You have to adjust the teachings to the level of the verses, the level of the what the scripture is just unfolding. So when it's talking about Kama Yoga, you talk about Kama Yoga. Now, when it's talking about Yin Yoga, when it's talking about Maya, it's a very difficult subject. You talk about Maya, knowing and telling people this is a very subtle, difficult subject. So, but on a one-on-one conversation, yes. So the teacher is supposed to encourage the student, not to make him feel that he's not doing any progress. You understand? So you just say, yes, that's good. At the most you can say, oh, that's a good beginning. So you are doing very well. So, and then the student must be encouraged, inspired to continue to do the good work. That's how I see it. The teacher, the Vedanta teacher, is never out there just to we suppose, of unfolding something beyond the understanding of the students, but is there to unfold exactly what the scriptures are presenting without compromising the scriptures as well. At the same time, making the point that in the beginning it may seem difficult, but as the mind goes refining, purifying, expanding, and then it becomes easier and easier and easier. So you have, when people come to Vedanta, I have been in contact with hundreds of people in Brazil in Portuguese language. Some people come and they have this fascination. They understand very little about what is being unfolded, but the attraction is crazy. I have a middle-aged woman. She's 62, and she comes from a Christian Catholic background that is huge. She was brought in by another student of mine, and the whole life, decades and decades, in the church, studying the Christian scriptures and so on, very active. And then she got in contact with Vedanta, and then she appears in my classes. And then she started coming back and come back. I knew her background because her friend told me. And now she's cruising these past 6 months at least, And the other day she went to talk to me, and then she explained the background, and she says, I mean, I dropped everything. The people, my community, my church could not believe, because most of the engagement I had with them were in the weekend, Saturday morning and Sunday morning. And now I have the Vedanta classes. It's all 2 hours Saturday morning and 2 hours. She went to the extreme to say, no, I have something else, I got in contact with Vedanta. I'm sorry. Everything that I'm doing in the community, find somebody else to do. I appreciate everything. She left everything behind. And this is without really having a clear understanding of what is this process after a few months, So it's like it's something that moves people, on a subconscious mind. You feel like, okay, so I can't help it. I go with it, And then slowly understanding builds, clarity builds, refinement builds, and so on. I'm always fascinated when I see people like that, just jumping in, staying with it, and being fascinated by this universe, this world of this scripture knowledge from the Upanishads and the Gita. Anything else?
The very fortunate.
Yeah, we are all very fortunate. Otherwise, we would be having conversations, samsaric conversations, that some of us became allergic over time, along the years and decades. That the superficial gossips, as one says here, and talking about useless, irrelevant things, and even talking about that kind of BS, people get intense because my viewpoint is this and that, So, and in Vedanta now you start a discussion that it's more like a Shravana. Traditionally, the guru in our tradition, in our Vedantic tradition in India and so on, in the ashrams, the guru do not like to be interrupted. It's not like between us or with my group in Brazil that people, they raise their hands digitally there, and then I interrupt, and then they may present some question or doubt. Right? But then now that is just don't interrupt. After a few weeks or months, and says, okay, now we have a Q&A session. So bring your questions, and then people who would be rather interrupting the class, all those questions are already, killed, resolved, raised, you understand? And that's more or less how the tradition moves, very rarely. It reminds me of someone who went to a monastery and he had to be living in seclusion. And then they put him there, and they said, oh, you're going to be on your own here. We bring 2 meals a day and this and that. But after 5 years or 10 years, you can call to have a conversation with any of us. And then past 10 years, the guy comes and say, okay, now I can tell you. I say, you guys forgot to give me a pillow. And then say, oh, I knew that you seemed to be somebody who had something to complain. And then they gave him a pillow. And then after 10 years, he had a chance to say something. They said, there are a lot of small insects in my mattress. The mattress has to be changed. And they said, oh, you are really a troublemaker, more complaints, And just imagine, you wait for a decade to be able to make a question to Swami Paramarthananda. So a tradition does not go to that extreme, but somehow the tradition is you go through Shravana, listening. And then since we are not really traditional people, we interact more, and I enjoy the interaction. Many times I encourage you guys to interact, So we may make an effort to listen, but very soon the heat goes up and the dialogue begins turning into a discussion. In the beginning, I was interested to learn something here, but now it is a competition. Nobody wants to accept a defeat. Nobody wants to accept ignorance. When we come to the scriptures, this is one of the things, okay? I'm losing one of my oldest students who was leading what we call study group. And a few books he did the study group. And somehow from the very beginning, he moved away from me and he started studying on his own, direct from the scriptures, And then what is the problem? And I had a conversation with him a few days ago, and he says, I can't be your student anymore. I did not ask him why. He said, it's broken. I love you. I'm so thankful to you. But I told him in the beginning that I accept everything. Your knowledge is just academic knowledge. And you are passing this notion to other people, And the most difficult thing that we have in any kind of exchange like that, and that goes for the exchange between the disciple and the guru, is to accept our self-ignorance, you understand? And then people, sometimes they say, okay, I accept that I still have some self-ignorance here, but I will take care of it dealing with the scripture alone. And then we say, the scripture says, so if you bypass the teacher, things are going to be much more difficult. You're going to misinterpret, or you will not understand or misunderstand the teachings. So it's better to have a teacher, but with the teacher, you have to put yourself in a position that Arjuna at the beginning may have had a little difficulty, but that came a moment that he stopped talking to Krishna in the second chapter. He was talking more than Krishna. And then came to a point that Arjuna says, okay, I will shut up. I am lost. Teach me because I'm ignorant. I'm self-ignorant. I'm spiritually ignorant. Teach me. That's the most beautiful moment, according to Shimayananda, in the entire Gita. It's very, very, it's even emotionally strong, there is a lot of devotional and powerful element in that statement that Swami Shimaya used to say very vehemently, teach me, I'm confused, teach me, So it's rare to find an ego that wants to be taught, and that's what is required in this relationship in our paramparam. Otherwise, we're going to have much heat and very little transfer of knowledge or exchange of knowledge. So how you enter a discussion such as this one with the scripture and with the guru, never bring your ego into that kind of relationship, disciple, student, guru. I'm all the time interested in knowing the truth. I'm ready to accept that I am wrong or ignorant in regard to my notion. This is very clear to a very mature disciple. I should be able to put aside my ego And that's why when you begin a Vedantic relationship, the Shishya is asked to do namaskara to the guru. Doing namaskara is a symbol declaring to the teacher, I'm ready to listen and I have left my ego outside. I will listen without competing with you. I will listen without being prejudiced. I will listen, try to dispute what you say with my notions. I'm ready to drop everything. It's so rare to find it. I have students in Rio Grande do Brazil that have been for 5, 6 years, and only by now they stop. They begin stopping this resistance towards the guru, and a lot of these people they start trying to find ways to stand alone, and then they misinterpret some of the teachings, or they understand it a little bit more superficially, but then it grows. But it's rare to give away, to leave the ego outside, and without prejudice, listen to the guru, knowing that the teaching does not belong to the guru, belongs to our tradition. If I listen with my ego, I will never benefit from the exposure to these teachings. If I'm with my ego, I'm going to filter what is not in agreement with my notion, and I'm going to let in only what is in agreement with my notion. So what is the purpose? You understand? So these teachings need a mind that is so open that it should understand that I hope today the delivery of the teachings is going to be 100% against my notion, because then I am having the opportunity, and that period of time, I am neutralizing 100% of the time bits and pieces of ignorance, But, and the people do not understand that the guru is kind of institution, some tradition, some pradaya. And when the teacher teaches, this is my experience as well. Of course, we all have egos, especially if you want to see my ego, come to spend some time in Brazil and see my dialogues with my spouse, my wife. But somehow when I go and sit into this position as a teacher, the ego somehow disappears, because it's really an institution, it's just like, and you present this to people who somehow are open to receive it. Okay, just some of I have to take a few pills here. Sylvia told me we are doing a cleanse, liver cleanse. It's quite something. We have to take care of this food body as well. Okay. So it requires what? A huge intellectual honesty, integrity, not to go into a discussion with a guru, with the scripture. I need to set aside my ego and be ready to accept that, knowing that the teaching does not belong to the guru. Yeah, the good thing about teaching the scriptures is that nobody can be upset with you, because, as James used to say, it's not my teaching, it's not my fault. If you don't like it, no, that comes from Ishwara. Fight with Ishwara. But in any common dialogue or discussion, the mind is itching to talk, 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 and we know how it goes. Sometimes you take the mic from the other, and then you have to talk, but you cannot give a gap of 5 seconds, and otherwise the other begins talking. In Italy, it's like that. When you begin, you have to go like a machine gun. Because if you stop the other, take the mic, take the gun, and then begins hitting you as well. Okay. Japa Jitanda definitions. Aline gave us the definitions already. So in Vedanta, we are not interested to establish our views. We like to establish we like to present our doubts, and that's all. We're not interested in establishing our views. Those kind of people do not come to me anymore. Like in the past, yes. But now they don't even dare to come in close. In the past, nobody knew me, and then they want to have discussions, present different views or philosophies. But now we have the entire Vedanta Brazil with so much material there, video. People do not even come close. That's one type of wrong dialogue. In the interest of proving my view. But this in India used to be very common. The debates, the scriptural, philosophical debates. Shankaracharya was a great one, and some others. And my first guru was also, he loved that. That was the entertainment at the time in India, going to the park, now to downtown, where there is a nice space where people, I forgot, I don't know how to say that in English. And then there will be these debates, philosophical debates. Right? And my first guru used to say that I was so good at debating that there was one topic, one time I would say, I'm going to debate for, and then he would win. And then after 1 month or two, the same topic would come and he say, I will debate against it, and he would win. So it doesn't matter. Whosoever is clever with constructing logic, may defeat, because it's going to give the impression to the others there, the public and the jury, that my argument is better because I'm clever to construct. The lawyers do that all over the place. People are not interested in the truth. They're interested in constructing some concepts that can win the argument. So, but we are not interested in any of these things. Although some teachers and Mahatmas in our tradition, they used to do that. I had some people want to have a discussion comparing two different or different paths, spiritual paths. They say, no, I don't do that. I can't do that. I'm not skilled to do that. I can only teach what I know about the Vedantic scriptures, but I'm not interested in debate. I'm not interested in proving that Vedanta is the best. My opinion is that Vedanta is far the best means for self-knowledge. But I don't want to prove it. I want to debate. But some people, they love to debate, just to have a good discussion to prove that, no, there are so many different paths. I want to prove that they're all the same. Okay.
I think it's lovely the way the scripture uses the Purva Paksha all the time to set up a basis for taking the logic to the right conclusion by the teacher.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the Shastra uses this nature of jivahood, that argumentative nature, and for the benefit of the jiva.
You mean to say in those debates in our tradition, the old days?
Yeah, and when you read, I'm now reading Dayananda's chapter 13, and the second verse, he goes through like 80 pages of the Purva Paksha, the setting up a contrary notion, And it goes through with logic.
When you present these Sanskrit words, you feel free to practice your Sanskrit, but you have to give me at least
Oh, okay.
otherwise, I do not want to ask you, but you mean to
Uh-huh.
say the contrary notion, contrary
Right.
logic. Okay.
Yeah. Someone setting up a contrary view.
Yeah.
And then it's utilized to the benefit of the teacher. It's just, but when it's a closed mind, just setting up and insisting on the contrary view.
Yeah, I guess you find much of it in for the sake of those disciples that are really hard to be convinced. And then it helps. In the Brahma Sutra, they go through a lot of these, arguments like that. It's a question of exposing all resistance from all kinds of mind. And it's said that in the old days, Shankaracharya had to do that because our sampradaya was in total decline due to Buddhism. And then he had to go and debate it, and then slowly, Buddhism left India. Okay, let's go to the next verse, verse 33. I am the letter A among letters. I am the dvandva among compounds. I am the eternal time. I am and the dispenser facing all directions. So let's see what Swamiji has for us here. So the letter I is the most unique letter because all we need to do is open our mouths that we say ah, 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 ah. All others involve more maneuvers. But it's said to be the original letter. And Swami here says that in India, there is something which is presented as the first vocal, which not even it's something else. But he presents it in Sanskrit. In Indian language, you take this symbol in Sanskrit or in Tamil. Tamil is the first letter, is the way it starts. Before A, there is something else. That is said to be the most fundamental letter, the most fundamental sound. Oh, but and why do you have any knowledge about this original letter or sound, which is something close to A, or something? No, huh? You guys heard about that? So the most fundamental letter in Portuguese is simple because A in Portuguese is A. And in Portuguese, when you open your mouth, no? In English, you say A involves already some effort, but in some Spanish language, Italian language, Portuguese language, and maybe some of the Indian language, they are, because I have seen Swami mention that with the it needs no effort. You just open your mouth, and then it comes. The sound comes as the most fundamental, primordial sound. Anyone, Chinese, Russian, Japanese, they have this saying. They open the mouth, there we go. We have the first letter. It is And that's why when we want the children to open the mouth, what we say, we want to see, open your mouth. I want to see your throat. This you cannot do with a closed mouth. So it's a basic sound. Phonetics. All other letters are modifications of this first, most fundamental sound. And for some reason, Swamiji says, Krishna says that this first letter is a good symbol. Okay. When a dentist wants to show your teeth, he asks you to do A, E. So there are some letters that you have to show your teeth. Ooh. No? Close your mouth. It's said to be 8 positions or modifications that are going to produce different sounds, like playing a flute. Those are all interesting explanations, and somehow Krishna says, I am the fundamental letter among the alphabetic letters. And then in the next file, Krishna is still Swami doing a recap here about the different vibhutis or glories of the Lord, symbols of the Lord. And then that he immediately went to the alphabetic letters. Among the alphabetic letters, I'm the A1. I worship Sarasvati Devi, who is in the form of alphabetic letters. This is interesting. Sarasvati. Sarasvati has something to do with the symbol deity of knowledge. And knowledge comes from letters. And letters are going to construct words. Words put together are going to construct concepts. Knowledge can be passed on their way. So Sarasvati here can be reduced to the first alphabetic letter, maybe. Even among the alphabet letters, Lord Krishna says the most sacred is the letter A. And as I said in the last class, the letter A is supposed to be sacred because that is the basic letter from where all other letters emerge. This A you do without doing anything. A. In English is different. You need to make an effort to do A. It's just enough open. I mean, we are very lucky to communicate in this Latin language that you can be as lazy as open your mouth, and then anybody can say anything. You just say so to produce any other sound, you have to work with your mouth. Show your teeth, close your mouth, and play with your tongue in this way, that way. Therefore, according to the science of phonetics, akara is the base sound, which is flexible. It's a flexible sound which alone is modified to become many other letters. It is the cause, the karana of all other letters. Okay. The other letters are modifications of carrion. Since the cause alone manifests in the form of all effects, just as the clay alone manifests as all products, this letter modifies to become all other letters. Therefore, R multiplies into alphabetic letters. Alphabet letters rearranged produce words, words produce concepts, and so on. In the Vedic tradition, every alphabetic letter has got a presiding deity. So amazing. I mean, this culture, this tradition, the Vedic tradition, they never leave God outside of anything, huh? Even the letters, they just say that every letter is a deity, no? Unbelievable, no? Every alphabet letter is a presiding deity. And Brahmaji is the A, the original letter, the letter that calls all other letters. Okay, so letter A is Brahmaji. So there we go. So we want the symbol to do Upasana. You can just take the sound, the original sound, letter, and imagine, hold that as Brahmaji himself. In a certain Mahansya mantra, that's the case. Of course, Brahmaji is repeated again by the letter something like that, I believe. Why do we have Brahmaji as a preside deity behind this letter? Because Brahmaji is the cause of the entire creation as well. The letter R is the cause of all other alphabetic letters. Therefore, Krishna says, among all alphabetic letters, I am R. The next line, he says something else. Grammar, especially, we have a particular usage called samasaha. Samasaha means formation of compound words by joining simple words. Okay, now I understood. I haven't had the time to read much today because I was running around, but here, verse says the letter and so among the compounds here, the compounds of the letters, the words, yeah? I am the compounds, I am the term among the letters, I am the by dvandva. What is dvandva, Lynn? Okay. Let's read the explanation of Swamiji here. Why do we have Brahmaji as presiding deity? We have seen that. Then the next line says, we have a particular usage called samasaha, means formation of compound of words by joining simple words. So you take two simple words and join them together by adding a hyphen in the between, then it becomes a compound word. So this is also nice. It's a grammar thing that is very common in the United States in the English language, compound words, you know. That which is properly and beautifully arranged is called samasa, compositions or something. In English also, and in some other languages, we have got simple compound words, such in Sanskrit. But in Sanskrit grammar, it's a well-developed usage. And by forming these compound words, the advantage is you save some prepositions. For example, suppose somebody says, I have brought puja materials. So you just say puja materials. You don't need to say, I brought some materials for puja. Yeah? So those are compound examples and so on. You can avoid the prepositions. Okay, so when you go to the temple to do these worships, repeating those mantras or whatever, you just do the same thing as it seems. And no, he's saying that you go to the Shiva temple, everybody understand, I got Ganga water and so on. Instead of saying I brought water from Ganga. So he goes about that. And then let's see what's the ultimate compound here. So did you get to that?
No, I
To
don't.
that letter that points to this ultimate compound?
To me, the ultimate compound is Om. But yeah, but I don't know what he's going to say.
Let's see if it appears here. Then it becomes Agra Summit, an episode which took place during the summit in Agra. Instead of writing this length, a huge sentence, it becomes a samasa, a compound. Thus, a compound can be formed by forming words, by joining three words, and the advantage is you say preposition, you make it short. If someone likes to go even further to create symbols, to shortcuts, so that when you say, FIR, and then you have the teaching there in three letters. How do you know what preposition to cut and not to be used? So Ganga water. So he goes through many examples. Toothpaste. Toothpaste. This is a good one, huh? Okay. Did you bring toothpaste? Yes. And then one may think that it's a paste made out of tooths, No, it's not. It's not a paste of tooth. It's a paste for tooth cleaning, So therefore, resolution of a compound word is one of the beautiful exercises we have in Sanskrit grammar. And this compound formation is very systematically done as a science. And we have got several such compounds. For base compounds, and also I'm is coming down. For basic compounds, I enumerate in these four latter expanded to 7 types of compound, then these 7 types of compound expanded to 35. So thus we have got many compounds called samasa. We have many compounds called samasa, and this group of compounds are called samasikam. The group of compounds when we are studying, we are joking, samosa, samosa. It's not the samosa we eat, but it's the compound. Okay, it's not samosa, but samasana, which can contain up to 10 words, tens of words joined together. Sanskrit. So, Swami, come on, deliver it. What is the ultimate compound? Therefore, he says, among compounds, there is a particular compound that is the best of all compounds. I do not want to get into the details of dvandva samosa. It will become a grammar class. Therefore, I'm leaving you from that pain. I'm just sparing you from that pain. Dvandva is the name of particular type of compound, and Krishna says, I am Dvandva compound among all compounds. So what is this dvandva?
Do you think he could be referring to putting two nouns together like raga dvesha or namarupa? those kind of dual compounds?
So I don't know. There are two possibilities here. One is I went through too fast and I missed the moment that he reveals what this compound, the ultimate compound is, or he has presented that but in Sanskrit, and then one of the two. So we could take it as a homework for all of us to read again this passage to see if we find out the mystery here in discovering which one is this compound. Kala. So therefore, Akasha Kala means an exhaustion of time. And then here he's already moving to time. So we will need to read it here to see. And because you know some Sanskrit, Lee, maybe you can pick up if he has explained in Sanskrit what is this most fundamental and important compound. Okay?
I can't figure it out from this, but I'm going to go back into Dayananda's Gita and see if he says anything
Yeah.
about that more specifically.
You have in paperwork the entire home study from Dayananda?
Yeah, I know you left yours in Italy, right? Yeah, so yeah, but I have it, so I'm going to go look at it.
I can't believe that I'm gonna have to take a plane and go there to pick it up. Anyhow,
Can't Amazon send you that more cheaply than a plane ticket?
yes, I have to. It's complicated. It is in a house far. I mean, not far. It's 45 minutes from Bergamo, but it's in a home that they go just in the summer. It's on the hills, the little low mountain areas of outside of Milan. It's cold, humid. Her father, when takes her there, he's in a hurry. He does not like to stay there, and Sylvia resists to help me to bring it here. And,
Dayananda also has it in digital, the whole 6-month course.
yeah, but I'm so tired of this digital world. You cannot imagine the trouble I'm having nowadays. I'm having to do my tax returning, and I go into the Social Security Administration website, and then I enter my name, account, and my password, and say, no, everything is changed. I had to begin subscribing now into a new system that goes through. It's all digital, and they don't accept the pictures I do. Today I'm gonna try to find help here because they want to take the chance to get my face recognition, my other kinds of new IDs. I forgot biometric ID, everything digitally using a good telephone, a camera, but it has to be done to perfection, not too much light, not too little light, background. It's something that may drive one crazy. Have you gone through that with the Social Security website? The new one, the way to go then get the document of your Social Security income?
I haven't been in there yet this year. Now I don't look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's become a nightmare. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shwara, Namaste. We meet again this coming Friday. Thank you. Good to have Mark back.
Great. Yeah, it's good to be back. So I'm enjoying it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.